Hello fellow YouTubers, this is N0AGI with another update of my satellite TLE prediction operator tool or STPO tool. If you have been following this application, you probably have watched my previous YouTube video. That was a very high level overview of what the tool is meant to do or what the purpose of the tool was. By the way, if you haven't watched that previous YouTube video, please go and view that. You can go to my YouTube channel, or you can just do a search on N0AGI and STPO, and then you will hopefully bump into this YouTube video there. Just to set a quick stage, the purpose of the tool is to enable ham radio operators who work the satellite operations such as ISS or PSAT or PCSAT satellites. I do quite a bit of work with those from an APRS standpoint and an iGate standpoint. So the purpose of this tool is to help me as a ham radio operator to identify which satellites I'm interested in tracking. And then once I identify those satellites, the tool will go to the two-line element or TLE database for each of those identified satellites, discover the TLE data, compute the prediction for the pass-through of those satellites, and then run an external application when the pass-through starts, and then run an external application when the pass-through completes. You can use this tool to effectively turn on a hardware circuitry such as a relay that in turn turns on a radio of your choice. But the purpose of the tool is to basically run an external batch file or an external script or whatever be it, that in turn turns on your hardware circuitry that controls the power that goes to the radio. And this video is about the latest version of the application. It's currently in the 1.5 stage. So if you go to the blog N0AGI.com and then go into the STPO tool category there, it should take you to this page where you can look at the application pictures, the details. It also has a link to that previous YouTube video that I was telling you about. This video that I'm currently doing will eventually end up here. You can also download the latest bits and the binaries by going to this link here. So let's start with that. So once you click on this link here, it should take you to my OneDrive shared folder, and then you can download this shared folder by just checking that box and clicking on download, and that should zip up and should be able to download that for you right here. So save that downloaded zip file to your local folder, and I've already done that. And once you unzip the downloaded folder, you should see these files in it. So let me quickly walk through what these files mean. So this is a dependency file that I was talking about in my previous overview video. This is the actual application, the tool itself. This is a configuration file that stores all your options and settings and things of that nature. The best way to edit this file is not through opening using a notepad or notepad++ or whatever editor, but instead using the tool to edit the settings. So don't edit this file outside of the tool. In the data files folder, you should see an XML file, and this XML file, if you open that, what that should pull up is a list of satellites that I'm interested in tracking or I'm interested in working. If you want to add your own satellite, what I would do is probably the easiest is select this whole line per se, copy and then paste it and make the needed changes and save the file. I have included the ISS, PCSAT, and PSAT satellites in there. I think that should work for majority of this audience, at least I'm hoping, but if you need to add more, feel free to do so. So let's run the application. So when you launch the application, you will see this very simple interface. It might look a little overwhelming, but it's fairly straightforward. The top section here basically lists each of the satellites you had identified in that XML file we just edited. The XML file also identified whether this line item is enabled. The tool automatically goes to the repository, in this case the TLE sources here, and then refreshes the prediction data for each of these satellites. So what you see here in the bottom is actually a spit out of the activity or the log information. On the far right here, the options I was telling you about, and the best place to edit those is right here. You might have realized from the previous video I did, I have made the option names reasonably readable. Still not completely end user friendly, but still you should be able to read compared to what was there before. So let's walk through these items really quickly, and then I'll give you a quick demo. If you look at the alarm audio alert, basically what that does is it beeps the application whenever there's a pass-through. The next parameter is alarm include core properties. So what this provides is when you run the external batch file, some of the satellite details are sent as command line parameters to your batch file. Your batch file will receive the satellite name, the horizon date, etc. So you can further process or do whatever logic that you need to do internal to your batch file. The next option here is what is the external application you want this application to run when the pass-through completes, so the off trigger, and likewise when there is an on trigger or when the pass-through starts. So you can choose to have this tool send off an email to whatever address you prefer when there is a pass-through activity. So in this case, you will receive an email with the from display name, and the next line here says, hey, use this email address as a from address, and then you'll have to provide your SMTP mail server details so that the tool can connect to your SMTP outgoing mail server and then process the outgoing email notifications. So you basically provide your server's user ID. There's a password, provide that there. The server name for your SMTP or the outgoing mail server. If you leave this blank, your email notifications will not be processed or activated. This is the subject line prefix, so the receiving party can do whatever Outlook rules to sort out the emails or whatever be the case. Likewise, the send email to address, I'm going to send it to this address to show you the demo. A few other options here. Debug, add, pass-through. We talked about this in our previous video. Basically what that does is creates pseudo test satellite items so you can do a quick test before you go live. And then you can say, hey, operator, automatically enable my operator when the application starts. When this is turned off, none of these pass-throughs will be automatically processed for you. So you basically have to go checkbox this box manually, and then you'll start seeing this spinning wheel go do its work. When you see the spinning wheel here, it tells you that the operator is on. I'm going to switch it off for now. And here's the minimum elevation I care about. In my case, I care about pass-throughs that are at least, in this case I had 12, but at least 10, let's say. And also, in this case, the next item says, hey, use the AOS time instead of the horizon time. The AOS time occurs after the horizon time. I prefer the horizon time because you have about 2 or 3 minutes leadway before the satellite actually passes through or acquisition of sight happens, so which actually makes sense. But if you prefer to turn on your radio exactly when the AOS happens, you can change this option to true by simply double clicking this option like so. And this is my QTH lat long coordinates. The last option here, or last two options here, says after each pass through I want the tool to go back to these repositories and get the latest pass-through data. Last but not least, auto refresh on startup. It refreshes the pass-through data every time you start the application. Right now I'm going to close this application and relaunch it What I'd like for you to note is the below debug window starts spitting out data. The application goes and then discovers the prediction values for each of these satellites that are enabled, and then populates this box with the next occurrence of the pass-through. And the enable operators will be automatically turned on because we asked for it to do that over here. So let's get started. When the pass-through occurs, let's say for the test satellite item, the test satellite item is programmed so that the horizon time is set 1 minute ahead of the current time, so that you can see the automatic on and off of your pass-through batch files or whatever be the case. So let me quickly close the app, and I'm going to restart the app so you can see how it works. And before I do that, one other thing, as you can tell, now we have few additional files over here. For example, the log file, the two TLE files. These get auto created by the tool at the time of startup or at the time of refresh. So if you look at the ISS TLE, it's basically the TLE data the tool gathered from the repository, and the PSAT TLE data. And this is a log file. Basically, it shows the activity that happened thus far within the log file, which is very useful for debugging purposes. So you can go ahead and delete these if you want, or you can leave them in there. They get overwritten no matter what. So let's go ahead and delete that again, and I'm going to run the app. So watch for the bottom section here. The tool is going in there, populating the data for each of the satellites, and I chose my minimum elevation as 10. The next occurrence for ISS is tomorrow at a 52 elevation at about 1:30 or 1:39 a.m. early morning. So let's enable this. You will see the test satellite becoming activated, and you will notice that what's the time. Once it becomes 10:14, you should see the test sat line item become activated. And as you probably noticed, there was an audio alarm that went off, and the activated item turns red, indicating that that satellite is currently active. And then we also enabled emails, so you should see an email come through. So let me pull up my Outlook, and let me show you the email when it happens. So what I'd like to do is, I have my Outlook here. Basically, I have the tool currently paused, so I'm going to move this tool to the bottom here. I want to move this up here so you can see as the emails come through. So right now, I'm going to enable the operator again. Let's start it off. You will see the test satellite get activated again. So there's the audio alert. It goes red. You should see an email come through in Outlook here fairly quickly. There it is. So that's the email for the on. If I open that, you will notice it's the STPO. That's the from email, and the display name. That's a subject line prefix, and then that's the body of the email. And then it also runs the batch file, the on and off batch files. Now, once the off takes place, you will see the off email notification come through. And that's the audio alert that the pass-through has been completed. Now you will see an email for the off notification. There it is. So that's the off notification. Similar looking email, except for the on-off status notification, and also in the body, and you see the test satellite, the satellite name. So that's the email portion of the notification. We also talked about the batch file. In this case, my batch file was to run the off bat and the on bat just for testing purposes. As you can tell, the on.bat file, all it does is displays the command line parameters. Those are all the command line parameters that will be sent to the batch file. Some additional logic in your batch file to turn on a relay or run some sort of a script, or whatever be the case. I didn't want to make it a generic circuit on, circuit off, because I understand people have different types of logic to turn on their hardware circuitry. So I think the best way to accomplish that was to run a batch file or run an external application, or it could also be an external exe file, and do whatever you need to do. So that's a quick walkthrough. Thanks for watching. Please do download the application from the link I had provided earlier. I'd love to hear your feedback, and please do send me your ideas or feature requests or whatever be the case. All and any constructive commentary is very much appreciated. Thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing from you all. Thank you. Bye bye.